Welcome. Today we're heading to the area northeast of India. And this area there, we find the country of Nepal. The mountain range in this region is called the Himalaya. The top 10 tallest mountain on Earth above sea level are all located in the Himalayan range. Here's Nepal, Himalaya, India, is down by Africa, zoomed up here, crashed in. We have the Himalaya Mountains. The Himalaya Mountains are fairly steep looking. And when we talk in terms of erosion, erosion is the process of materials breaking down and being transported, and it's generally very slow, but affects all materials on the surface of the earth. And if you look at these mountains, they look pretty jagged. And if you think about our White Mountains and our Sierra Nevada mountains, based on their shape, what do you think about how much erosion has happened? Look at the shape of the White Mountains and the shape of the Sierra Nevada mountains. These are definitely a little sharper. I would imagine there hasn't been a lot of erosion here, whereas on the White Mountains, we see quite a bit of erosion. If you look back at the Himalaya mountains, they don't look like they've actually experienced a lot of erosion. And in fact, they are a fairly young range and began forming approximately 50 million years ago. So if you remember, we have layers of rock, and layers of rock are actually called strata. And I happen to have these pieces of paper that you can download and do yourself if you want to. But what we're going to do is look at the layers of rock on Mount Everest. And the study of strata is called stratigraphy. And you are stratigraphers today. Geologists tend to study strata to gain a better understanding of processes that formed important geologic structures in the past. Here in Nepal, we're going to study the strata of the Himalaya to gain insight into the history of these awesome mountains. One mountain peak, as you know as Mount Everest, rises 8,850 meters or 29,035 feet above sea level. This is over 5 miles high. Now I have the strategic column, and each one of these we can fold if you're interested in doing this at home, and you can actually tape it to the top of this one. And you keep going until you actually have a big column, and I'll show you mine in just a second. Down below we have the key, and let's just take a close look at this key. And we see, and you can actually look at the printed version, we see that we have different types of rocks. We have rocks containing fragments of ocean crust, rocks containing fragments of ancient volcanic rocks, rocks containing fragments of continental crust, and rocks containing fossil remains of ocean animals. So I happen to have a giant column. Kind of back this out a little bit so that you can see. And we have a giant column of rock. And on this column, we look at the different types of rock, and we can see the different types of rock. So if you notice, oceanic crust, we see here, and we see here, and this is the top of the mountain. This is oceanic crust. Oceanic crust. Interesting. Ancient volcanic. So this is volcanic, 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 volcanic. And then we have continental crust, which is these stripes. So this whole piece is continental crust. This is continental crust. This is continental crust. Rocks containing fossil remains of ocean animals. Ocean fossils. Wait, what? Huh, that's interesting.